Alright, good evening everyone, how are you doing? I'm nervous for the time being. I'll be better in a moment, I hope. Today I'll start with something from the beginning, which is an experiment, let's say. Fred's parents arrived late, so Fred was, do you think he was happy, angry, or sad?
Let's say angry.
Who says angry? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So
Actually, it depends.
that's a majority. That's a majority that says angry. And the question is why? Yes.
Perhaps he missed something.
He missed something. Okay. Another one. Yes.
Because he was waiting for them.
Because he was waiting for his parents. They were late, so he was angry, right? But if you look closely at the two sentences, there are no connections between them. There is no connection between the first sentence and the second. There is no as a result, there is no because of this, there is no consequently, for example. So they are completely separate. So maybe Fred was happy, maybe he was angry, maybe he was sad, right? But we try to, let's say, an explication is that our brain has a natural propensity, which is a tendency, to form causal relationships between seemingly actually separate events. The two sentences were completely separate. There is no connection between them, but we made sense of the fact that his parents arrived late. So because of that, we said, well, he was angry, probably. So we try to look for cause and effect, even if there isn't any cause and any effect. So as an introduction, this was just a kickstart, let's say. This presentation is going to be involving psychology experiments with the aim of arriving at a conclusion. So this one was the first experiment. There are a couple of them more. So I'd like you to be interactive with me. I'm going to use your help, and I want you to be focused very well. And it's going to be a little bit long. So before we start, I want to introduce two ways of thinking that we have in general. The first one is automatic thinking. And let's call it System 1. Automatic thinking is System 1, correct? There are features to System 1 which are, first of all, from the name, it is automatic, obviously. It is unconscious. And that means that we don't decide to use this system. It's already our default way of operation. And also, it cannot consider alternatives. That is, from arriving from A to B, there is no consideration of C. We always go from A to B. There is no C, there is no D. Yeah, so it is, in this way, it is intuitive. That relates to intuition. We say that I have an intuition that this is the case. And that's the system that is involved with intuition. And finally, or before the last one, is that it is effortless. In this way, we don't use effort. We don't expend energy, we don't use energy, and we don't feel tired when we are using this system. And lastly, it is active all the time. That is, we can't switch it off. It is active all the time, and there's no way to switch it off. Now, if our primary system cannot consider alternatives, and it is active all the time, that is a big trouble. That means we're not very rational this way. And that calls for another system, which is the deliberate thinking. Deliberate means intentional, and we're going to call it System 2. And it has these features, which are, it is deliberate, it is conscious, that is, we use it at will. Yeah? And also, we can, or it can, consider alternatives. That is, from arriving from A to B, we can consider C, etc., and then we select and choose. And it is more rational, therefore, if it can consider alternatives, that means it is more rational. And the cost of this is that it is effortful. For example, if you want to solve a math problem, you're going to use your deliberate thinking. And that means you're going to be tired because of it. And you're going to have a headache, probably. And that's one of the reasons that we avoid using it. And it is, in this way, lazy, inactive much of the time, unless we switch it on. Now, experiment number 2 is actually simple. We're going to talk about a person called Meredith. And I have a question about Meredith. The question is Meredith going to be a good leader in the future? Again, Meredith is she going to be a good leader in the future? Based on that, she is intelligent and she is strong. Do you say yes? Raise your hand. Do you say, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people say that she's going to be a good leader. Who says no? Raise your hand. We have also 4 and 5. We have a lot of people using their minds. And if I tell you that she's also corrupt as well, and she is cruel at the same time.
Now she's gonna be a leader.
Now she's going to be a leader. A good leader, what about?
Yeah, an ideal one.
Now the point that I'm trying to deliver is that for the people that raised their hand for the first time saying that she is going to be a good leader, they were thinking intuitively, quickly, without much consideration, and without considering all of the facts. We had like only 2 adjectives. How can you decide if someone's going to be something based on only 2 adjectives? Have you seen Meredith? Have you talked to Meredith? Do you know that she's cruel? Do you know that she's corrupt? No, you don't. And an explication for this is that our system 1, our intuitive system, can easily make judgments and coherent stories, not only judgments but also stories. If I give you 3 words, you're going to make a whole coherent and very nicely put story from any small and insufficient fractions of information. And this we're going to call what you see is all there is. We see intelligent and we see strong, so we say, well, yeah, she's going to be a good leader. But what don't you see? There are so many things that you don't see about Meredith. Meredith is a person. You should know more about Meredith. And this effect can actually explain the first experiment in that, for example, we only see that Fred's parents arrived late. We don't know what happened with Fred at school. We don't know how old is Fred, what happened with him in his job, for example. We don't know if he's happy or if he's angry or hungry or I don't know what. But we see the things that are in front of us and we make a judgment based on them. Now, here we're coming to my main point for today, which is a question that starts: how much time or information do we need to form an accurate judgment of a person, do you think? How much time? Yes?
Many years, actually.
Many years.
Yes.
Okay, let's think about it in terms of our 2 systems. System 2, the rational, the deliberate, yeah? So it says how much? Days, weeks, ages, years?
Years.
Let's say
Years.
it takes years, right? Okay. What about system 1?
And from the first meeting to
How long? It takes minutes.
A conversation.
A conversation, it takes a year. It takes what? It takes seconds. It takes seconds. Now this might look funny or sound funny, but in reality it's so sad. Because a situation or a judgment that is so complicated actually, we can do it in 2 seconds and we arrive at really unreasonable conclusions in the end. We might say that every person is an unknown ocean. An ocean like in which if you don't want to swim, you don't want to dive, you can't even make a judgment if you know them well. You can't say that this ocean is beautiful, you can't say that it's nice, you can't say that it's ugly, you can't say that it's deep, you can't say that it's unique. You can't say anything about it unless you dive so deep to know about their childhood. Do you know about their experiences? Do you know what they want to do in the future? Do you know like anything about them? What makes them happy? What makes them sad? What makes them angry? You need to discover a lot about them. And this brings me to the bottom line, which is that little knowledge is a dangerous thing. And especially, I could explain this in so many ways, but this is one of the ways that you could explain it. Little knowledge about people is a really dangerous thing. And I'm not telling you that you shouldn't, for example, judge people from the first couple of seconds, because it's automatic. It happens without thinking, right? Like, let's say that you see a person that looks scary, and a person that looks, friendly and inviting. Now, without knowledge and without conscious awareness, you're going to steer clear of the person that looks scary, and you're going to gravitate to the person that looks inviting and friendly, and you don't even know it actually. Yeah. And this is something that is automatic. It's our instincts. But what I'm trying to tell you is that try to have more control. Try to relax, take your time, and don't let these judgments control you and govern your relationship with a person. That's it for me. Little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Thank you so much for listening.